Tonight, a Sogli state in the Volta region declares its readiness to deploy warriors to help state security agencies protect its territory as the Volta Regional House of Chiefs expressed dissatisfaction with government's handling of the Western Togoland crisis.
Not at all. I think that we could have done better. There could have been some intelligence way ahead of all this to have vetted the entire situation for maybe occurring.
The facts don't even support that particular narrative. Actionable intelligence led to the prevention of the more dire aspects of what would have happened.
We have the very latest in this unfolding drama in the Volta region.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Gassim Cement, the Nation Builder, and Vodafone. The future is exciting. In the last few minutes, the Asogli state has called the press conference in the Volta region, declaring that they are ready to deploy warriors to help the state security agencies protect its territory after the Volta Regional House of Chiefs expressed their dissatisfaction with government's handling of the Western Togoland crisis. The press conference follows an attack on the state transport company terminal in Ho in the early hours of Tuesday, allegedly perpetrated by the Western Togoland Secession Group. One STC State Transport Corporation bus was burned in the process amidst the firing of gunshots. Well, today the Volta Regional House of Chiefs had a statement out raising concerns about the way the state had handled the unfolding insecurity situation in the region. This is the Vice President of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, Togbe Toprihodo. He says they are, of course, unhappy that the security agencies had not done enough to protect the people there in the wake of the violence that we've seen.
With respect to Mr. Albert Kandapa, Togbe Afede, the National House of Chiefs, who also happens to be a member of the standing committee, informed me he had invited him to the meeting. He said he was already in Kumasi to prepare for the president's tour of that region. And then the registrar of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs was tasked on Saturday, that is the day before the meeting, to invite the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs to the meeting. And he responded that he had previously scheduled some meetings or appointments for that day, that is the Sunday that we're going to hold the emergency meeting. And so he could not attend. That was what happened.
Well, but the meeting went on anyway, but subsequently, have you sought to find out from these two why they were not able to attend the meeting? Because you had some resolutions that will be going through quickly.
Yes, I think that what is happening now is that the message has gone out that there's going to be a meeting on Thursday. I'm not too sure whether that's going to come up, but that is at the prompting of the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs.
But then if that meeting was going to come off, why the need for this statement putting out what it is that you were hoping that government would have done and that immediate investigation that you are asking for government to put together?
That's what I'm saying. We're not even sure the meeting is going to come on.
Why do you say so?
It was only this morning that we were told that there's a meeting being scheduled for Thursday, and now I have even informed that it's been rescheduled for Friday.
Okay, so that is the Vice President of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. Thankfully, he joins us on the telephone line right now. They've been attempting as chiefs to try and get the many of the stakeholders, including government, to the table to explore how to find a lasting solution to this. Togbe, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you.
I mean, when we spoke to you this afternoon, you're still in search of clarity on whether or not this meeting that had been scheduled for Thursday will happen. Do you have certainty now about that?
No, that meeting is supposed to be at the instance of our minister, that is the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. So I think that the final confirmation of the fact that the meeting will come on would have to come from him. So this is where we are presently situated.
So as we speak tonight, you're still uncertain whether or not this meeting will come off as originally intended on Thursday, or now possibly even Friday.
Yes, so it all depends on a whole lot of circumstances or factors which I really can't ought to disclose, on air. You see, it takes a lot of logistics to get all the members of the House of Chiefs there, and we would want to leave all this to the minister. That is our minister, so he is convening the meeting. So when he takes care of these things before that time, But it was first meant to be on Thursday, but has been rescheduled for Friday because it is to allow for more chiefs to attend the meeting.
I mean, tell me something. So, what really were you hoping to help achieve with the chiefs coming together to meet on this? What is your objective of this rallying among the chiefs and the House of Chiefs?
Well, I think that the point here is that we all are trying to find a solution to the problem. And so, if the minister who is directly in charge of our house convenes a meeting, I think it is to brainstorm about how best we all can approach the matter and find a solution. That's the way I look at it.
Now, in your statement you issued today, you had a series of questions, fundamentally unhappy with the way government had handled this. But government had said quite categorically that on Friday, of course, we saw the chaos, but they had filed a more serious plot to burn down the whole central market and other installations before what happened on Friday happened. Government's insistence is that is security and intelligence working on your behalf and in behalf of the public.
Well, I'm no security expert, but if the security apparatus was well, switched on, I should imagine that the whole thing ought not to have really occurred. That's my take. You see, the fact of the matter is that if you say that, well, we were able to avert something more serious, but what happened was quite serious. As far as I'm concerned, it's all a question of did we get the security situation right or not? And the ordinary person would ordinarily feel vulnerable when these things happen. And the best situation or the best scenario would have been that the whole issue have been nipped in the bud. That's the way I look at it.
So, as we speak tonight, I mean, subsequent to that, of course, we saw what happened today. The police issued a statement confirming that there was another attack on the State Transport Company's terminal in Ho. One bus was burned. Of course, the police say the timely intervention of the National Fire Service and the police averted what could have been a more serious situation. Going forward, I'm pretty sure you've seen, or confirm for me if you have, the serious security deployment on the ground. Are you happy with what you're seeing on the ground right now?
Well, I've not had any information about the security situation on the ground, but I'll be very glad if that has been done, because that's what we wanted to start off with. You see, if people saw that the troops were deployed and people were being suspicious people, or people who were engaged in suspicious activities were being questioned, and then information was being relayed back and forth, we all would have been happy. That's the point. So
just for clarity, what you want from the Volta Regional House of Chiefs is security, visibility, and presence, both military and police on the ground.
That's exactly the point.
Is it that you are not seeing that even now in the wake of what that has happened since Friday?
Well, as at the time that we had a meeting on Sunday, there was no such indication. If the news is now is that there are now security men on the ground, well, that's welcome news.
Well, I must say that, I don't have any indication yet myself, and we are trying to see if we can get to talk to the information minister to confirm that if there is a security plan to deploy more men on the ground. But so we don't have that indication yet. But I'm visibly, as a representative of the people in your traditional areas, you haven't seen a visibility, you haven't seen a military police in their numbers.
Of course, I live in Accra. That's the problem I have. So I'm not having anything, But I'm going to check after this to see if there's any. But I think it's welcome news if you have to, It will set people's minds at ease. And the important point here is for all of us to collaborate and work to stop this kind of mayhem from being unleashed on the ordinary person. So it's welcome news, if that's the case.
Togbe, kindly hold the line for me briefly because there's some other developments. There's some other developments coming in from the Volta region tonight. The Asogli State held a press conference a short while ago. They are declaring their readiness now to deploy their own warriors on the streets to help the state agencies protect their territory. Listen to Togbe Lakle Howusu, is the warlord of the Asogli State, addressing the media a short while ago.
Of the Togbe Afede the 14th, and the chiefs of Asogli State, I wish to let you know that we condemn the act reported to have been taken place in this region by the Western Togoland group. In no uncertain terms, the roadblocks, the burning of lorry tires in various parts of the Volta region, the attack on the police stations at Mepe and other places, the seizure of the police vehicles and burning of the STC vehicle in whole. These were criminal acts which we urge the government to conduct investigation and those involved to be made to face the full rigors of the law. We therefore want to state clearly the commitment of Agogo Togbe Afede the 14th and the Asogli State Council for peaceful and united Ghana, and our preparedness to collaborate with government to ensure peace and stability in the Volta region and the country at large. We urge the government to trace the perpetrators and bring them to book. And we also advise those people who are doing this criminal act to use the proper channels to address their issues if they have any. The Asogli State Council is ready to deploy the warriors of Asogli State to protect the territories of Asogli State in collaboration with the securities of the nation. Thank you.
Thankfully, I have just been joined by Togbe Lakle Howusu, who is the warlord of the Asogli State, who you just had there. Join us on the telephone line. Togbe, thank you for time here on Top Story.
Thank you.
So tell me, you've just announced that you were ready to deploy your warriors in working with the security agencies. I wonder, the Asogli State is a very influential state within the Volta regional land. I wonder if you've had any official dealings, briefings at all with the, either the Volta regional minister, the security agencies, any briefings to reassure in terms of the security on the ground?
Thank you, and good afternoon to your listeners. Actually, this thing took us by surprise. We only heard about this incident in the morning, which, in fact, we feel it's not the best.
Are you talking about the attack on the transport, the STC terminal?
Transport station. We don't see how this criminal attack the transport station.
Kindly even may speak in the phone. Yes, yeah. Thank you very much. We lost you briefly. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. We don't see that it's inspired to attack the transport.
Forgive me, Togbe, we're having a challenge with it. If you can position the phone and then speak directly into it, I'll be very grateful because I think the distance is causing the trouble. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Fantastic. Yes, I can.
Okay. What I'm saying is that we were taken unawares by the event, but we don't see the sense in that. If people are agitating for independence or for the secession or whatever, why do you come and destroy state property? That's criminal offense. You know. So we met with the chiefs of Asoglu, contacted the Bugumepia and said, no, we should let the whole world know that we don't have a side in that and we condemn it. It is not the best. If they have any issues, then they should go through the proper channel. Usually, when you have a case, you go for discussion, roundtable conference. They have a lot of channels they can go through. But why these destructive activities, blocking roads, burning tires, that is not the best. It's not in the interest of the region or the country. And however, we haven't yet met with the regional minister or the MP. I had a discussion with the MP this morning, brief one, and I told him we're going to meet and come out with a statement. After that, I'll get in touch with him.
And I wonder, when you announced the deployment of the warriors of the Asogli State, why has that become necessary?
Well, you know, for some time, we, the people of Asogli, haven't had confidence in the security service. There was a time a lot of things were happening, robbery going on, but when we declared war, that we're going to use our warriors, things have calmed down. And it was then that the security services woke up and started doing their duty. But if they had been vigilant, I don't think this thing would have been happening. It started by the hoisting of a flag at the Coordinating Council office, and then also what happened at Mefe, Tefle, and Japon. I believe if the security agencies are on their feet and they are on ground, they should be able to get a hint of what these things happening. Unless the suspicion that maybe they decided to allow it for various reasons, we don't know. Otherwise, they should be on the ground to be able to detect this and prevent it. So if that is the case, then we are not safe. So we have decided that we'll form our vigilante groups. Of course, we'll inform the police authorities, introduce the people to them, and then we ask them to keep watch over the necessary places. Thank you.
But that will border on borderline being an illegal activity if indeed you go ahead with the approach. I mean, that's in almost taking the law into your own hands here.
No, that's what I said. We'll inform the police. Forming vigilante groups, that's people to keep watch. That's one. We've been informed that the police, that they will even train the people for us. So introduce them to the police and then let them understand that we have our own people to assist in guarding the necessary places in our town to prevent such things happening.
Going forward, though, I mean, is this something that you've already deployed, or this is an indication of what you intend to do in consultation with the police? Have you already deployed the warriors?
No, what we intend doing in consultation with the police.
What would it take for the Asogli State not to deploy your warriors?
If we can be given an assurance that we are safe.
What would that assurance look like? Verbal or actually boots on the ground?
Not necessarily bringing troops on ground, but when they bring troops on ground, They must tell us. We should know why they are here and what they are doing. Not that they just bring people and they'll be doing things that we will not be aware of.
I guess that is why I asked earlier. I mean, and you've indicated that you haven't had any formal briefing at all from, the state agencies. I mean, as of course the chiefs yourself. And I still have with me Togbe Hodo, who is the vice president of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. Togbe Hodo, let me bring you in. So somehow this has to be resolved. From the Volta Regional House of Chiefs point of view, specifically, what assistance are you willing and ready to offer the state in addressing this problem permanently?
I think it has to do with maybe in terms of assisting getting information as to the probability of detecting those who are involved in all this. And I think that when Togbe Hodo says that they're going to deploy their men on this, I think they could also be of use in terms of furnishing the state security agencies with information. As for the deployment, if it is allowed by the law, I think that, everyone is entitled to a certain measure of self-defense. So, I don't see anything wrong about that. But I think that in addition to that, there could be that collaboration in terms of gathering evidence as to those who are actually behind these activities, so that we are all able to stop this thing.
You use the word collaboration, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just wondering in what form exactly. We've heard that you believe the Asogli State's indication of deploying the warriors is fair because you interpret it to be possibly self-defense. Even self-defense, it's governed by law. But I'm wondering for the chiefs themselves, what sort of collaboration are you looking for? And specifically, what role do you want to play?
We want the information road highway to be cleared between us and the authorities. You see my point? And that is why I am happy that at least our minister is taking the requisite steps to convene this meeting. So that if there are certain matters that we all will discuss and agree as to the way forward to nip this whole thing in the bud, I think it's just a welcome thing that we all have to embrace.
So, but the concern that many will raise. Once you begin to, and this goes back to the Asogli State's approach to this. We all know the paramount chief of Asogli State is the president of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. Once you begin to deploy warriors and use the word vigilantes, that is a dangerous territory to go in because it's moving away from the official state security apparatus, and that can pose its own threat and insecurity challenges as well.
But I use the word collaboration, so which would mean that I don't think that the Asogli State is just going to get people, their warriors. They're going to do this in collaboration with the police, and that's what Togbe Hodo has hinted at. And I think that anybody who is interested in having this matter resolved shouldn't think that probably state security agencies know everything. They must go on the ground, and these are the kind of people who should help, get the information, the requisite information to them to enable to diffuse this whole thing. So my point is that it should be more of collaboration than anything.
Stay with me briefly because there's a bit more information and other statements coming in. Now we understand we're still working the lines to get the information minister on the latest developments about the call, especially from yourself, Togbe, that the Volta Regional House of Chiefs want to see a beef up in the security presence in the communities in the Volta region that have been affected by this. But Ernest, there's a statement from the National Democratic Congress. They are condemning the violence and the secessionist activities that we've seen since Friday.
Absolutely. So they take time to recount the incidents that have happened, condemn them in absolute terms. But the third paragraph, which is what I want to bring to your attention, it says, while property has been destroyed and lives lost, the people of Ghana are yet to hear a comment by the president condemning these acts of treason and lawlessness, let alone consoling the victims and taking urgent action as appropriate to restore law and order. This is what Ghanaians expect from their president, who is incidentally the chairman of ECOWAS. They then go on to impugn other political motives the silence of the president could mean.
Thankfully, the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkrumah, just joined us on the telephone line. Mr. Ponkrumah, I'm grateful that you just joined us. Just a few minutes ago, the National Democratic Congress had issued a statement asking that the president, indicate the president has neglected to speak about this crisis, and that is an indication that, in essence, the state government is not taking this as seriously as it should. Your reaction to that?
Well, that would be unfortunate, because I think what many people are expecting, first of all, is that the ongoing threats and challenges are dealt with in the immediate, and then subsequent to that, the necessary collaborations needed to find a lasting solution are built. You would recall that the first challenges of Friday morning were dealt with. On Sunday night, we explained that there are still outstanding threats that the security agencies have to work to ensure that they can thwart. And that a lot of collaboration and support and information sharing is required to succeed at that. The beef I have is that even as we speak now, all that exercise to thwart the outstanding threats is still an ongoing operation. I'm not sure we're expecting that in the middle of this, the commander-in-chief will be issuing statements here and there. I do know that he will speak to those issues once the first wave, I think, is overcome. But what is most critical now is, first of all well-meaning Ghanaians rallying behind the flag and supporting the state and the state security agencies to deliver on their mandate in these areas, and then to build the kind of collaboration that is required to find a lasting solution to them.
What about those who say at least his calming voice as a leader at this time can reassure the people of the Volta region, who many are living in fear right now? We've heard the Volta Regional House of Chiefs and their Sogli State tonight say they lost confidence in the security agencies, and in fact, the Volta Regional House of Chiefs say they want to see more presence on the ground of security officials, boots on the ground, to serve as a deterrent, but also reassure people.
Well, there are already security forces on the ground. A good number of troops are already on the ground, detecting sensitive installations and working to ensure that some of the outstanding threats are dealt with or are thwarted. We are happy to receive the support of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, first of all, in condemning what has transpired and in requesting that some more be done to provide security for these areas. And I can assure you that since Sunday, a lot of work is going into providing some more security for these areas. But a lot of work is also required on the collaboration front. People know these persons. They live with some of these persons in communities. They are aware of some of these plans. It is important for them to continuously open up and share information without feeling that they are, telling on their kinsmen, because we have one country to protect. And as they make this information available to the security agencies have proven that they will be able to thwart the most dire aspects, if not all, of some of these plans.
Just before you joined, I've just been speaking to both the warlord of the Asogli State and the vice president of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. They both say, I know you've said that if there's a significant deployment of our forces there, but they both say that they haven't seen enough of that in terms of the visibility, and they pointed the attack on the STC terminal today, especially when we were told on Friday in a joint statement by the military and the police that they foiled an attack on the whole central market, which they had the criminals had planned to burn down, and other installations as well. They fear that even in the wake of that intelligence, it still appears that today's incident is another indication that the presence that they claim they haven't seen is playing out. They want to see more. What assurances can you give?
Well, so I think we have to separate the issues. They have not said that they haven't seen anything at all. They are requesting for more. I think we should also be clear with the fact that you cannot have soldiers, police, military on every square inch of land. And even if you did and people are not providing you with the kind of collaboration and support that is required, your exercises may not be successful. So currently, there is a deployment at sensitive installations to ensure that protection is provided. We, through the Regional Security Council, with the support of the National Security Council Secretariat, continue to monitor and make a determination of what sort of BFAP or build-up may be required where. But we will still require collaboration with chiefs and people and local opinion leaders so that you can do the work that needs to be done effectively. We cannot take that out of the equation and just bring in more soldiers or bring in more police, etc. There are deployments there. There continue to be an assessment of the situation to determine whether or not some more should be sent there. But even if you had 1 million there and the collaboration, the sharing of information is not stepped up, you will miss one or two things. And that is a part of the conversation that we need to hit on. It's not about deploying warlords, etc. on the street or, traditional fighters on the street. That is not the answer. The answer is improving the collaboration between the traditional authorities, the local authorities, the local political leaders, security and intelligence agencies, so that they can work together. Splitting hairs now doesn't solve the problem. I mean,
so there's a challenge though there, because we've heard the Asogli State that tonight had just announced that they are ready to deploy their warriors, to assist the state. Say the reason why they're doing this is because they've lost confidence in the security. But I'm not sure that the Asogli State is superior to the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. The Volta Regional House of Chiefs itself has agreed to collaborate with the state. I'm not sure we should be encouraging or playing up one traditional council's suggestion that they want to deploy warriors on the streets. I don't think we should play it up. I think the lead authority there, the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, has one, condemned it, two, expressed that it desires to collaborate with the state so that all the traditional councils under it can take a cue from what the Volta Regional House of Chiefs itself and the state of Ghana collaborating to ensure that stability is maintained in these areas. So I'm not sure we should be playing up these suggestions. Thankfully, I still have with me the Vice President of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs still with me. Togbo, you've heard the Information Minister assure that, yes, if you want more is going to be done in terms of the security, but they also talk about the collaboration that government is willing to open with you. Does that reassure you?
Yes, you recall that I used the word collaboration, at a point in time in our conversation. That's exactly what we're talking about. Because if we say that, for example, Asogli State is going to deploy its own warriors, that does not necessarily mean, therefore, that aspect of collaboration is ruled out. What it means also is that the security agencies can also use some of those people to get the requisite information in order for all of us to fight this common monster that is confronting all of us. So I think that the real word there, the key word there, is collaboration. So let us all collaborate to see how best we can get these things behind us.
Talking about collaboration, let me bring in Mr. Ponkruma. Mr. Ponkruma, the Volta Regional House of Chiefs have requested for a meeting between government, state agency, security, and themselves as a first sign of actualizing this collaboration. The first meeting that was called, they were unhappy that the state representatives failed to attend, They are looking forward to another one, I think, this Thursday or Friday. Will that happen? And what form will this take?
So let me quickly put the first one in context. The events happened on Friday. I think somewhere on Saturday afternoon, there were calls for a meeting on Sunday, by which time some other engagements had been triggered. And it was communicated that Sunday morning may not be a feasible time for that meeting, and therefore, during the week, that meeting can take place. That meeting is what you are referring to by Thursday morning. That is the invitation that has gone across. And it is our expectation that that meeting can take place so that they are also briefed on what is being done, what is required of them, and if they have any further requests, they can also advance in. I must say that what will be unhealthy is an open exchange of words publicly as though we are disagreeing, when indeed we agree on the principal thing that must take place, which is a collaboration. And I'm sure Togbe and I, as you have heard, are using the same word, a collaboration of various stakeholders. In fact, Evans, even for you in the media, we need your collaboration so that we do not play up some elements that may just pour petrol on fire, but we play up the things that will help us find a lasting solution. So if we agree on the fact that some things have been done and we all want to contribute to a lasting solution, then what we ought not to do is to be splitting hairs publicly. That will create a certain impression in the minds of, let's say, even these persons, that all of these guys are even fighting among themselves. We are not. If we are collaborating, if we agree that we have to work together, then what we must do is to seize these open exchanges publicly and get that we have agreed to have, and then share the information and knowledge and the work that is being done together so that we win together. Together, we win.
There's also been the suggestion by some security analysts, etc., that government should consider opening some form of dialogue with these individuals, some of them faceless, who we know they form organizations, as a way of trying to understand what exactly they're asking for, to explore other ways other than simply the arrest them, prosecute them, use force approach, that we should adopt a more multidisciplinary approach to this. What do you say about that?
Against adopting a multidisciplinary approach, when you meet a young person from somewhere in the Volta region who is being deceived that a plebiscite has a 50-year tenure and has expired and therefore it's enough for independence, you can engage with him and educate him, and then he understands. When you meet a young person who has been called out from his village to come and join a group of people standing by a mounted roadblock, who does not have a full understanding of what has gone on, and you give him education, and out of that engagement he understands it, and the risk that he's posing to his life and to his community, he understands you. When you meet somebody on the Akotombo Dam who is purporting to take over the dam and is suspected to be in possession of instruments that can cause harm to the dam, that is not a negotiation. When you meet people or when you arrest people who have conspired and attempted to do harm to public property or who have shot a police officer, that is not an engagement for a discussion. That is a criminal offense against the laws of the Republic of Ghana. So it's a multifaceted approach that separates different parts. And that is why we need to collaborate to get help from across various stakeholders to succeed. It is not the time to be pointing fingers that this one has failed, this one didn't do well, this one did well. It's the time to collaborate to win. For example, when the troops arrived at some of the mounted roadblocks, if they had not been tactical in getting some ground understanding of what was happening, you may have even heard of more deaths than you have heard now. And some of those deaths may have been innocent persons who had been invited to join by some initial 2 or 3 people under false pretenses. It's a complex challenge, not straightforward that, this one has succeeded, this one has failed, this one is not working for us, let's do this. But we have to collaborate, work together to deal with the multifacets of this challenge.
Mr. Pankrum, I'm grateful that you join us here on Top Story. Of course, the also had the Vice President of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, Togbe Tepri Hodo, who spoke to us about the situation and the statement issued today. Isn't it amazing when your network cares about you so much so that they do amazing things for you? You guessed it. I'm talking about the Vodafone Cash dropping all charges when you send money to all networks. Yes, you had it right. It costs nothing, absolutely nothing, when you send money via Vodafone Cash to all networks. Just send any amount as many times as you want to any networks and pay zero charges on the money sent. So go ahead, make payments, show your love, make contributions, send money all you want via Vodafone Cash to all networks for free. Dial *110# to send cash for free. Are you ready? Well, tonight the Ghana Journalists Association is also holding an emergency interaction with some of the security agencies and the media as well on the back of the disturbances we've seen in the Volta region. My colleague and head of the security desk, Gifty Ando-Apia, is, of course, following that angle of the story for us. Joins us on the line. Gifty, what more do we know about this engagement?
Well, what the GJA is calling this is a media dialogue, an emergency media dialogue, and we're expected to have the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, address this meeting. I've been asking around since I arrived here, what is this going to be? How is it going to be like? I'm told it's going to be like the usual press briefings that are held at the Information Ministry. What's different, though, is that we're having the National Security Minister address us. I also understand there will be an opportunity for media persons like myself to be able to ask some questions. Now, Evans, what we know is that there have been calls for some sort of national strategy to be announced on how we're dealing with this. So the hope is that there will be some explanation on what we're doing. If there is this national strategy, what is it, and what people should know. And it's interesting because I just seen the GJA president right here, Evans, with me, and I'm sure you have some time. Let's just have a short conversation with him. So, Mr. Afamoni, what is going to be so different about this meeting in terms of answering the questions that have come up regarding what is happening with the secessionist activities?
For now, we can only stoke the speculative bubble